Adam, what else are people saying in cyberspace?
There's a lot of discussion about what the Maldives what options are on the table if this conference doesn't achieve its goals and sea levels rise. What are the plans for the Maldives?
None. We will all die. Everything else, all the other ideas are lofty ideas. We will simply die. We will become climate refugees. Maybe a few of us might be on a boat. But at the end of the day, we will not be around. And it's not just going to be us. It's going to be a whole lot of other things. It's going to be a huge ecosystem. It's going to be a lot of fish, a lot of butterflies, a lot of plants, a lot of sounds, a lot of colors, a huge culture. It's an island civilization. And with the Maldives, I'm sorry, a fair amount of the Earth's vulnerable population is going to suffer.
Your country has already looked into purchasing island land in other countries, in Australia and India, Sri Lanka. Is it possible to export your culture and your people to another country if it comes to that?
It's not possible. None of the exodus, none of the movement of the people in that sense has ever worked in civilization, in human history. No, I cannot see that happening now. You see, saving for a rainy day is good. I understand dry land is the bottom line, and we should be saving for a rainy day, and we are saving for a rainy day. But to say that we can buy land and build another nation is just very, very naive.
You said that we'll see what happens on Friday, but is there anything that's different about these negotiations than negotiations in the past? In the past, we've always seen the high-emitting countries primarily acting in their own self-interest, and what you say is needed now is for them to have a global interest in mind and act in more of an altruistic sense. Is there anything different that you're seeing about these negotiations that gives you hope that there will be a deal that will save your country on Friday?
When you remove leaders from the bureaucrats and technocrats and civil servants, they become just human. And it's easy to talk and easy to put some sense into them. I believe that most leaders are sensible and they would understand the gravity of the issue and they would rise up to the challenge. I really feel that, if you take most of these countries, they've become nations through a fair amount of struggle. And if you're a developed country, of course the struggle would have been more. What they would have achieved would be more substantial. And therefore they will have greater capacity in understanding the gravity of the issue that the world is facing now. I am hopeful.
But those leaders haven't risen to the challenge in the past 5, 10, 20 years as people started speaking about climate change. Why now?
We haven't been able to put them together into one room up until now. It's been their negotiators who've been negotiating since Rio and since Kyoto. So this is the first time since we've been able to move the negotiators to a side and the leaders to sit around and decide.
One final question about finances. At the end of the day, a lot of this all comes down to money. A lot of people in my country, in the United States, are concerned about giving money to countries abroad and what's going to be used with that money. How much money does the Maldives need to adapt to climate change and to develop? And how can you assure people around the world, the donors who will be providing some of that money will be put to the right purposes?
This is not about money. It's about my 2 children. I have 2 daughters. I want to see them with grandchildren. If you or if anyone thinks that what we are talking about money, you cannot be more wrong. We can fend for ourselves, but we cannot when everyone else is bombing us. This is not about money. But when we go into the detail of the issue, in my mind, good governance is the single most important adaptation measure. You need transparency, you need freedom of expression, you need freedom of assembly. You need space for peaceful political activity, for anything to go properly. But to assume that what poor countries are now talking about is money is the height of arrogance.
President Mohamed Nasheed of the Maldives, thank you very much for joining us on OneClimate today.